And so I'm going to read just a little bit from the book, as long as my voice doesn't give out. Jared rolled onto his back. The sheets tightened in further constricted movement. He kicked wildly, shivering as the morning air hit his skin, lifting the sweat from his body. The night terror was unlike anything previously experienced. Every perception of touch and smell became an intrusive assault that even now lingered like a cloying substance to cloud his thinking. Despite having slept, he felt he had just plowed a field with a handheld tiller, his limbs weighed down by fatigue and exertion. "Don't sleep," a voice warned from the empty place beside him on the bed. "Don't sleep," was the second fading echo. But already his body was drawn deeper into the soft warmth of the mattress. The strain in his neck, supported by a favorite pillow, eased as he sank into an ever-widening crevice. Despite his resolve to fight for wakefulness, Jared drifted off toward that dangerous rim of unconsciousness where horrors await. Seconds later, rescue arrived with the merciful chime of the coffee maker preset the evening before. Almost simultaneously, and better than any alarm clock, was the sound of Thor's truck, crunching gravel as it took the turn from the drive to the barn faster than was safe, and the rooster, his rooster, though the thought never failed to amuse him, crowed from the wood stump. Jared lives in Boston, and after his accident, he moves to a farm that's been in his family and finds himself farming, which is a little foreign for him. With sudden abruptness, Jared came fully awake. He threw 2 pillows against the headboard, easing his body into a sitting position, and tried to recall the nightmare. He stood on a darkened staircase, needing to move forward, but entangled by a mysterious opposition. On that stair with him was something intangible. It was a spaceless presence that tapped at the natural defenses of his mind, hating the mere humanness of his existence. And you know, that's true of demons. They hate the mere humanness of our existence. They hate that we have a choice to accept or reject Christ, because Satan is all about bondage. The step he occupied was bloodied by the wounds of those who had fought a path up those stairs before him. He felt the refuge of suffering and defeat through the soles of his shoes, the emotional angst of which was a heavy burden of cinder blocks. The conflict loomed, or perhaps the fight was done and lost in what he felt was his own blood underfoot. He wouldn't think about it. That's typical of a man, isn't it? We women would be analyzing that, calling our girlfriends. He wouldn't think about it. To do so was to give the dream power beyond what was reasonable. "Enough," Jared spoke into the stillness of the room. He swung his body to the side of the bed, pulled on a pair of jeans, and slipped his feet into worn dockers before heading to the kitchen for a first cup of coffee. But then he stopped, though an inner restraint warned otherwise. He turned back, pausing at the threshold. Morning shadows crisscrossed the room with sunlight, a dappled glow over the floor and bed. Even the cream-colored bottom sheet had come loose and all appeared a tangled mess. Jared reminded himself that this was just a dream, but the vision came, leaping into his mind, a brazen assault as it materialized before him in the room. Gray grasping hands, bloody around the oversized nails, reached up through the broad sinkhole of the bed. Locked in terror, afraid to blink, afraid that doing so would provoke the apparition, Jared turned, running wildly from the room. And so you can tell that there's some supernatural stuff going on in the book, and Jared's going to stand in reality later on that staircase that he just had a dream about, and he's going to have a conflict to face. And he sees, and fortunately, there's a good ending for Jared. So that's pretty much. I hope you enjoy the book. There's a lot more I could say, but I know we have a short time here today, and I want to answer any questions. I know about half of you have read the book, so if you have any thoughts or anything you want to share, be glad to hear from you about your thoughts about the book, and or any questions that you might have. The sequel is about 75 pages into the sequel. I'm working on the screenplay. I have a contract for the sequel, and I also have a contract for a nonfiction book that is kind of pushing my schedule back a little, that we hope to have finished in December, so and out by December. So I'm kind of excited about that. So any thoughts or?
I just thought you were further along with the sequel, Alex. You want to like push that just a little bit?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know I need to.
You do.
Yeah.
I'll come up and encourage you.
Okay. Okay. Hold my feet to the fire.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see what happens.
Okay.
We'll be working her to death. I'll let her do anything else but right now.
I'll mow my lawn and go out
next
there.
one.
I'll mow your lawn if you'll get busy on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I need to do some weeding, I know.
I'll do it for you if you're right.
Yeah.
Alex, as you know, I've read the book a couple of times, and I must say that I haven't read anything that was more, it put me into the story as much as this did, and I thoroughly enjoyed the book.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
I enjoyed it also. I didn't know if it was because I knew Alex that made me so interested in it on the beginning. I thought it's so good to know that someone that wrote the book first, but it was, and Dale read it first, and so he laid it on.
Can't put it down.
Yeah.
Put it down.
That's how I
You
was.
can't wait for the sequel. It's like, when can I buy the sequel?
I think
Yeah. That's
Thank
what I
you,
did.
Dale.
I told her the
I
next
think
day.
Dale bought the first book. When it first came.
I think you did. You were, yeah, I
I'm
appreciate
serious
that.
enough to be there when the mailman ran.
That's right.
UPS
When the
man.
books were delivered, yeah. I forgot about that. I just wanted to say briefly, there are angels and demons in the book. Everybody, all of us have different gifts. Jesus, when we trust Christ, he gives us spiritual gifts. And all of us have certain spiritual gifts. My gift set is probably discernment. Well, it is discernment and deliverance. And so for that reason, sometimes the cognitive barrier between us and the unseen realm can be a little bit thin. Sometimes it's not so thin. It just depends, I think, on our spiritual gifts and what God has for us to do. Because God has a purpose for all of us, a divine purpose, an exciting purpose. And I don't think anybody would choose some of the experiences I've had. I certainly wouldn't, and spent a lot of years fighting against that. But just because there is so much interest right now in angels and demons, so much confusion, so much involvement in the occult, which I just felt there needed to be a Christian book that would address some of that from somebody that really had had certain experiences and could speak with authority, at least in terms of the characters' experiences. And so the next book, the nonfiction book that comes out, there are going to be 2 chapters that go into this in a little more specific, and a little more detail, and being a little more specific, that I think prepare us as we begin to see more and more of this. Because it's important for us to know not only how to protect ourselves, but to recognize what's going on, to know how to pray against these things, and not to be drawn in. And so, I'm looking forward to that book being finished too. So, hi Jean. Hi.
What was your inspiration for bringing Zach into the book? Was it for his parents or was it for Zach?
It really was for Zach. I based Zach on my husband Brett. Was some of you know Brett, and I based him on my image of him as a teenager. He started drinking at 13, and was very, very rebellious, and so the character of Zach, just the spirit that Zach had, I kind of based on that on a little bit on Brett. He would hate me saying that. And of course, his life has a very different outcome. But Zach is going to be he's Jewish, and his family is Jewish, and he's going to be one of the 144,000. So at the end of the book, when Judy, that's all right, I love it. So at the end of the book, when he said he's lamenting the fact that his parents are going to send him away to Jewish school, to this Orthodox Jewish school in Western Pennsylvania, and he's really irritated about this because he's not going to be able to be free to live his life the way he wants, and it's almost like going to military school for him. But he's going to really embrace his faith. And you know, there's that moment in the book when he's standing between his two parents, and they're holding the Old Testament. They're holding this the Torah that was brought from Europe by his family, and that moment that he has where he feels the significance of that. You know, we all have moments in our life where we feel the significance of these moments as destiny, as having a purpose that we can't quite define. We're on the threshold of something, and we've all felt that before. And we call it different things, but for Zach, he has that moment standing between his parents. And so he plays a big role in the sequel, as does one of the two brothers. You know, there's Guido and Mario.
Well,
and
Guido said to Zach, study your ancestry.
Yes.
Your whomever, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So it sets up a little bit for that, yeah. And I love the character of Guido.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry he's not going to be in the next book because he goes up into rapture.
What's the deal with the emphasis of Italy and all that? I mean, there's a lot going on there. Is that going to come out later?
Yes, it is, because some of the book shifts to Europe in the sequel. Some of the book will shift to Europe, and so that's kind of there'll be more of a world stage rather than this small little vignette. And I was telling Brian, we're working on the screenplay, and Linda knows this, and of course the book takes place in Boston and Western Massachusetts, and I'm from Massachusetts. But the screenplay takes place in Memphis in Fayette County. And I was trying to convince Jenny over there that she should let us do a little YouTube video, and she should play Andrea in this YouTube video so we could maybe get some interest going. But she told me no, she's not interested. So,
Andrea, huh?
Wow.
I know Andrea's blonde. Yeah. So. I'll go. So anyway, I'm just very excited, and I'm very pleased that the book is selling. We're in our second printing. I brought the new books tonight, so I still have about 15 of the old books, but this is the second printing, and it's wonderful in 2 months the book came out in March, so Mike, my publisher, knew that in 2 months we needed to get ready to do the second printing, and Marge here has got that wonderful eye for finding every little thing wrong. And so she gave me lots of feedback, and we were able to make some changes in this new book. So I'm excited about that. And nothing significant, but, you know, little things. So.
How many books were sold the first time?
It was a small run, so there were 200 books sold the first time, yeah. I haven't asked Mike recently, but between 200 and 300, so, yeah.
Well, I have a hypothetical question.
Yes.
Concerning Zach.
Yeah.
If you had your choice
Uh-huh.
of which of his parents were affected the most by his decisions, which parent would it be?
Well, I think the mother would be the most affected because she's so rigid. You know, she's so much in control. And she's a wonderful character, and I love Evelyn. I like Evelyn, and I like the fact that Jared liked Evelyn. That he didn't see her. Jared didn't see Evelyn the way other people saw her. He saw a softness to her that others didn't see. And she's very rigid, and she has a very specific idea of what her life should be, and and what her son should be. And so she's never really been able. Zach has been lonely throughout his childhood because she's never really been able to connect with him. He's more an object. But I hope that even in that, as a mother, she's a more sympathetic person, certainly than Andrea's mother, who is really truly evil, and who is really truly evil. And of course, there is a surprise at the end of the book. Someone changes their life and decides to do an abrupt change that you don't expect, but I think we kind of suffer with that character. I'm not going to say who it is, but I think we suffer with that character as we see these changes begin to develop in his life. And that's... No. No, why do you ask about her?
I really like her.
You like her? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I really like her, and I can see that. I think of all the characters, I would like to see get it, so to speak. It would be her.
It would be her. Well, I'm glad to have that feedback.
And I feel she's going to come around.
Okay. All right.
Hint, hint. I think she's going to come around and help back.
Good. See, I love the fact that a character is real enough that you can speak about her like she's real.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it when people give me feedback like that, and I've gotten so much of that related to this book.
And I think she's just lost.
Yeah. She's
just lost, and I think Zach is the one.
We'll get her on the phone and let's have a conversation with her.
Yes. Zach's an instrument in her life.
Yeah.
Does she find Andrea?
Does who find Andrea?
Does Zach's mom find Andrea?
Well, you know, because you finished the book. Yeah, I'm not going to say that because some people here bought the book and they haven't finished it. So, yeah, so you're just going to have to wait and see. So, and any other questions or any other comments? Or I want to thank you for those of you that bought a book tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been probably a hard 2 years for me, maybe the hardest 2 years I've had in a long, long time. And lots of opposition to this book. Some of it I felt was supernatural opposition. And I'm glad it's written, and I feel like a corner's been turned, and I just appreciate the blessing of so much wonderful feedback from people. Thank you very much.